The following is an exclusive presentation of the Carolina Panthers and the National Football League. This week on the Panthers Huddle, Coach Dave Canales and KB look back at our win over the Saints and look ahead to Sunday's battle with the G-Men in Germany. Plus, join us for TD's Film Room as the Panthers legend breaks down the Giants' playmakers and one of our own. Welcome inside the Panthers Huddle.
Welcome inside the Panthers Huddle. I'm Kristen Balboni. This, of course, is Thomas Davis. And TD, we have got to start with the big win last week. And the thing that I think is the coolest is that the Panthers not only won the game, but they also did it in pretty great fashion, right? They came back from behind, and then also the defense made a big stop, so complimentary football, as they like to say.
Absolutely. This was a game that I felt like we put together in all three phases. You know, all three phases made a play somewhere along the way within this game. I think Herca did an amazing job of changing the field for us. And when you look at offensively and defensively, we did just enough to get the job done. You know, offensively, we put up some points. We got some yardage. The Saints outgained us.
Yes.
So to me, that just says that the defense was a bend but don't break defense. And when it came down to it, we made the plays that we needed to make in order to win this game.
Yeah, let's start with the offense. We're definitely going to talk about the defense in just a little bit, but how about we saw some explosive plays from the offense? What did you make of those?
You know, it was guys out there taking advantage of the opportunity. When you look at the Saints defense, they have a ton of all-pro players across the board on every level. You know, you look at what they have up front in Cam Jordan. They have DeMario Davis. They got the Honey Badger. They have guys on every level that have been successful in this league for a very long time, but we were able to take advantage of it and make a lot of big plays offensively when we absolutely had to have them.
Yeah, we sure did. And one of those guys that was making some of those big plays was Jatavian Sanders. We are going to be talking about him and breaking down some of his film in just a little bit. But now we got to get to your bread and butter, which is the defense. So, TD, watching it, the defense looked different in the second half versus the first half. They really tightened things up in the second half. Is that scheme? Is that just coming out of the locker room playing differently? How do you see it?
You know, it was a big part of what we were able to do schematically. When you go in at halftime, you want to be able to come out of that locker room with some adjustments. Saints were able to put up some big yards. I think they had about 250 yards in the first half. So you go in, you make some changes in. We cannot talk about the changes that were made on our side without talking about, you know, the huge loss that the Saints had in the first half and losing Chris Olave. You know, prayers out to Chris, hope that he's able to get back on the field soon. But to lose a guy like that absolutely helps you defensively because you usually have to dedicate an extra man and have extra eyes to know exactly where he is at all times because he's a dynamic receiver. When you don't have to do that, you're able to lock in on the rest of the guys that they have. So if you look at the production that Alvin Kamara had in the first half versus the second half, it really shows we were able to hone in on the Saints as a whole offensively, and we were able to come away with a much better stat line in the second half because of that.
And then look, on this show last week, you challenged the defense to get better in the red zone, talking about bending but not breaking, and they heard you. They were watching the show. That was a big improvement. So what did you see from them in that red zone? Listen,
execution. That's what it boiled down to. Guys going out and really settling in and executing the game plan and saying that enough is enough. You know, you hear the rumblings, you hear everybody talking about how bad you are at something. If you have pride and you go out and you want to compete and you're a true competitor, you're going to fix those issues. And that was one of the things that I loved the most in this game, to see the defense step up. After you've given us some yardage, after you've allowed the team to have some success, how do you finish the drive? How do you finish those plays? And we were able to finish it by forcing them to kick field goals or forcing them to turn the ball over on downs. And that's what you love when you have a defensive performance that comes down to winning the game versus, you know, them being able to put a drive together in the end. I know it wasn't the red zone, but being able to step up defensively at the end of that game, it only happened because they were able to develop some confidence earlier in the game by getting those red zone stops.
All right, big win for the Panthers, but now, of course, it is time to focus on Germany. Here is what some of the players had to say about going international.
Definitely a different different atmosphere. It'll be cool though. I think it'll be a great experience. I think it'll be pretty cool to be in a different country playing my first time being there. So I think it'll be cool.
I'm not a fan of long flights, so I'm not too excited about the trip, but I'm sure I'll have fun once I get over there, just being in a different spot, change of scenery. So, yeah, I'm excited about that at least.
I have been to Germany.
So what was your experience the first time, and what do you expect this next time?
It was cool. The people were nice. The culture was cool. I didn't really try too much of the food, so I'll try that around this time. But I'm looking forward to it. It'll be a good time.
I don't know if I'm gonna be. I'm usually working on the plane. I have a hard time going to sleep on a plane, so I might stay up the whole time and might be sleeping in the box during the game though.
Coming up, Coach Canales joins Kristen in the studio as they reflect on a big win at home and look forward to Sunday's matchup in Munich on the Panthers Huddle. This exclusive presentation of the Carolina Panthers Television Network is brought to you in part by Bank of America, the official bank of the Carolina Panthers.
Can you win the game in the first quarter? No. Can you win the game in the second quarter? No. Can you win the game in the third quarter? No. Can you win the game in the fourth quarter?
Welcome back to the Huddle. I'm here with head coach Dave Canales. Coach, we just saw that victory speech, what you're talking about, winning the game in the fourth quarter. Tell me about that locker room after the game.
We preach finish. We preach finish to our guys. Nonstop practice, whatever it is, it's a habit that we create. Everything we do, follow through the process all the way to the finish. And it couldn't have been a better moment, to finish offensively and defensively the way that we did.
All right, well, we're going to talk about that finish, but there were some great moments leading up to that throughout the entire game. So I want to take you to the second quarter. 3rd and 7, that pass to Jalen Coker really to get down, and ultimately Xavier Legette scores. Can you take us through that play with Coker?
Well, first of all, it started off with Bryce, recognizing it was a pressure look. It was something that, he kind of had in his toolbox for the week. We kind of changed it up. So for him to identify that quickly, get it orchestrated, and then the block and the effort, to take the ball down there and finishing with ball security, with guys running around trying to punch it out. So I love the execution in that moment.
And then that led to that touchdown. Bryce to Xavier Legette. I heard Bryce say, that's how you run a route to XL, which I absolutely loved hearing. Can you take us through that play?
Oh, it's just a play we've been working on for weeks, trying to get the rhythm and timing of it down, and it takes work, and it takes those practice reps, to hone it in and get it to perfection. Take one more, guys. Don't leave this field till you feel great about it. And I just love the confidence that Bryce threw it, the confidence with Xavier, hopping on Dollar Bill, the celebration, all the things. So it was great.
Are we going to get to see you hop on Dollar Bill at some point, one of his touchdowns?
I doubt it. I don't ride horses much.
Okay.
So.
You're too locked in. You're too in the zone. All right, you were talking about finishing. How about that Chuba Hubbard? The drive there and then the Chuba Hubbard touchdown to finish it in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, certainly the execution on the drive. Critical moments, timing and rhythm, all things that we've been working on, talking about on this show. Getting down there with enough time to give our run game another chance, to finish with that type of attitude. That's what we're looking for. That's the hope we're trying to build as guys. Let's get into situations where we can and will run the ball to finish the games.
All right, and then at the very end, 4th and 4, Mike Jack, as you call him, Mike Jackson, with that PBU to seal it for the Panthers. What did you see there?
Again, a finish moment. And the thing that we talk about with our players is the bigger the moment, the smaller the focus. Got to give a shout out to Richard Sherman. That's something that he shared with the group. When Pete asked him about it, he said, well, bigger the moment is, the smaller my focus goes. I focus on my first step, focus on where's my eyes at, my hand placement. It's the simplest things in those moments that'll calm you down, that'll allow you to be focused, to be able to execute and make the play that you can.
We saw Bryce in this game take some more shots down the field. Was that something that was a focus in practice this week?
It has been, and again, that falls on me to find those moments and opportunities to take those shots. It also comes down to having opportunities. And, in Bryce's couple of starts, we were in Denver, and we had a really pretty bad day on 3rd down, so we didn't have a lot of the opportunities. What I always like to say is, if you start trying to take shots early in a drive when the pass rush is fresh, you're putting your players at risk. And so it takes a little bit of football to find those windows, to see what the defense is doing on this day. How are they playing us? Is it single high? Is it too high? Collecting the information so that when you take those shots, they're deadly. And you strike them because there's an intentionality about getting those calls. So having more drives, the defense making some stops allowed us to take more shots down the field.
I want to talk to you about some of those players. So Malik Neighbors having a great season. It feels like he's slowed down just a little bit in the last few games. What do you see on film from him, and what did the team have to be prepared for?
Explosive player. He's got great lower body strength. He can really drop into his routes, get out in transition quickly, run after catch. He's a bigger guy too, so he's got a little bit of power with how he, extends it. He attacks the ball. So he really kind of is the whole package, and it's again though, this is a team that's finding their identity. This is a team that's finding their rhythm and timing and concepts and all those things too. And so I think you see the ebb and flows just with the learning curve, which we're certainly familiar with, but a lot of talent. Darius Slayton, who's having a really good year as well, just making plays for them, and the speed that he brings. So it's a really fast group. Daniel Jones has been at the helm for a while, so it's an experienced group from that standpoint.
As defensively, we know that D-line is certainly imposing. Of course, Panthers fans have a lot of familiarity with Brian Burns. What do you see from them on film?
This is one of the best fronts in football. And without Thibodeau, he would add another element. But you have Ojulari, you got Burns, you got Dexter Lawrence inside, who's probably the best interior defensive lineman in football. And these are guys that also, to come with all the talent, they're nonstop, and you can see them kind of come to life in known pass situations. They get into their stunts, they get into all their packages that way. So it's a great challenge for us in the run game, but also the pass game. It's going to be really important for us to stay on schedule, to play complementary football, to try to minimize the known pass situations as much as possible.
Coach, we are really looking forward to that game in Germany. Thank you so much for the time.
Thanks for having me.
When we return, Kristen and TD share their thoughts on traveling overseas, improvement on the defense, and facing a familiar foe on the Panthers Huddle. Closed captioning for the Panthers Television Network is provided by Charlotte Eye, Ear, Nose, and Throat Associates, providing premier eye and ENT care to North and South Carolina.
Welcome back to the Huddle. TD, we're going to talk about Germany right now because you are going along with the team. How excited are you?
I'm absolutely excited, KB. I'm looking forward to this trip. I never really got to play abroad as a player. Now I get to go over here and just get this experience with these guys, and hopefully we'll come away with a dub.
And we talked to Coach Canales about traveling internationally, what that looks like. As a player, are you doing anything special in your off time to get ready for this game, to prepare?
I think it really determines what altitude or what space you're playing in. When I did play or have the opportunity to play, I played in a game in Mexico, and the altitude was so high, it was crazier than Denver is. So we had to try to prepare for that by staying in Denver for that week. But beyond that, there's not much you can do to go play in a game over in Germany or over if you're playing in London. So you just got to get ready to eliminate the distractions, because players are going to take family members. You're going to be going and playing in a different environment, different city, different country. So you got to make sure that you eliminate all the distractions when you're in this kind of position.
Okay, last question. Are you going to be wearing any of the lederhosen while you're over there? Maybe a little hat with a feather?
Absolutely. I feel like there's something that some of the guys that drink do.
That's true.
You might get a little.
I know you don't.
Get a couple drinks in your system, and then you put something like that on. But that won't be happening with me, KB. As you just said, I do not drink. Never have. Never will. So.
You didn't pack one. Just
no,
confirm.
Not packing it.
All right. Let's talk defense now. We're done talking Germany. So in this last game, we saw the Panthers pass rush on display more than we have seen it. What did you think about them utilizing those tools?
I just feel like Jadeveon Clowney getting back to full strength is one of the things that made a difference. And it allowed this coaching staff to understand that, hey, we don't have to send extra guys after this group. It was something, KB, that they must have saw on film. These guys don't handle movement well. That's usually one of the things that you go and you look at first. You take a look at the offensive line. The Saints offensive line has been struggling. They've had guys in and out of the lineup. So that's one of the things I felt like we did a great job of taking advantage of, utilizing some games, some stunts up front, and those guys got after Derek Carr. He could never sit back and get comfortable, and that was one of the things that showed up big down the stretch.
All right, so it's time now for our Coke Spotlight. I'm going to go first, TD. So my Coke Spotlight is on JT Sanders. I know that we are going to break down his film a little bit later, but I want to see more of him. He had that great game last week. So he set a Panthers record for most receiving yards in a game by a rookie tight end at 87 yards. I want to see him get some more yards.
Yeah, he really showed up in a big way, and you could see a special connection starting to develop between him and Bryce. I feel like as this kid goes on, we're going to see some of the athleticism that we got to see when he was wearing that number 0 at Texas and going out there making big plays and doing the things that they asked him to do within their offense. But one of the things that really showed up to me beyond the pass catching was his blocking ability. He made some huge blocks down the stretch that absolutely sprung some things open. So I'm looking forward to seeing the maturation process for this kid and just watching him grow.
Okay, that was my Coke Spotlight. What is yours, TD?
My Coke Spotlight for this game is none other than Brian Burns. I want to see how this offensive line, who knows Brian Burns very well, but he also knows them very well, I want to see how they handle the emotions that he's going to bring into this football game, because we know he's going to be emotional. I feel like that's something that we can take advantage of when the guy gets overly excited, overly emotional to face his old team. That's going to be the spotlight that I want to see all game long, is their defensive line absolutely starting with Brian Burns taking on our offensive line. I just feel like it's going to be a battle of the trenches, and whatever team wins that trench battle, and we say this every week, but whatever team wins that trench battle this week is going to win this game.
We say that every week because it is true. Can't wait to see what happens in that game.
Up next, step inside TD's film room and see what the Giants are packing for this trip to Germany on the Panthers Huddle.
Time now to step into TD's film room. And TD, we just spotlighted this first person, Jatavian Sanders. Can you take us to the board and show us what he did so well in that last game?
Absolutely. We'll jump right into this play. As we get into this play, Jatavian Sanders is a guy that I was absolutely excited about us drafting, because I watched him play at Texas. And this is one of the reasons why. These were some of the things that he was doing at Texas. He was hurdling guys. He was running through guys. He was running by guys. That's why I was excited when we had the opportunity to draft him. So as we watch this play right here, it's a check down. But as we freeze this play right here, you see they have a triangle. As a defense, this is what you want. You don't get this often. Usually you have guys that have the opportunity to bracket our offensive player, and we used to work on that all the time. But right here, Xavier is doing a great job of blocking his guy, but they still have a triangle because JT can't run that way. You have an all-pro safety right here that has made a lot of plays in this league, and here it is. You can see it. It's a triangle they have developed right here around him, but what does he do? He takes advantage of his skill set, and he hurdles an all-pro safety, and he picks up big yardage. And this is the growth that you've been wanting to see out of your rookies, in particular this rookie tight end, and he's stepping up big for us, KB, as we need him to.
All right, we are going to switch gears now to looking at the Giants. You're going to tell us what the Panthers can do to take advantage of Daniel Jones.
This is one of the plays that really speaks to what Daniel Jones has done wrong for the Giants this season. So as you can see right here on this play, Daniel Jones, like I said, 9 turnovers, and this is one of the reasons why. An errant throw, he leaves it hanging out there, and they do a great job of coming away with it, KB. So when we have opportunities, coaches always say, as a quarterback goes, the defense goes as well. So we're going to have some opportunities in this game. We just got to make sure that we do a great job of squeezing the football and catching it when we get an interception, or when we get the ball out, making him fumble, which he has done 4 times this year. We got to come away with those fumbles as well.
And we can put some pressure on him, right? You're going to show us a little bit right here.
Absolutely. This is a game right here where you'll see T.J. Watt coming off the edge, and that's one of those fumbles that I just talked about. Being versatile enough to not just get to the quarterback and make the sack, but get to the quarterback, and guys got to understand, you taking them to the ground or you knocking the ball out, it all counts the same. It goes in a sack, but even bigger, you give your team an opportunity to get the football back. So why not go for the football? I don't understand why defensive guys don't do that more.
Yeah, certainly. We'd love to see it. Now let's talk a little bit about the Giants pass rush. You mentioned Brian Burns earlier, but overall as a unit, they are imposing.
Absolutely. That's where I feel like the strength of this Giants football team is, their defensive front. And it really starts, we know what Brian Burns is capable of, but it starts with this guy right here from Clemson, Dexter Lawrence, because he does a great job of getting pressure on opposing offenses, which allows guys like Brian Burns on the outside to just chill a little bit. We know what Brian is capable of doing off the edge, but on this play, he's not even rushing hard and he ends up with a sack because of what Dexter Lawrence does in the middle. He just ends up, just casually coming away with a sack. But do not sleep on this guy, number 51, Azeez Ojulari, another kid out of Georgia making plays. He has stepped up in a big way since they lost Kayvon Thibodeau early in the season.
There's the Georgia reference of the show.
Always got to rep my dogs.
All right, that is going to do it for us here on this edition of The Huddle. Thank you all so much for watching. On behalf of Thomas Davis, I'm Kristen Balboni. TD, take us out.
Keep pounding.
You've been watching the Panthers Huddle, a copyrighted presentation of the Carolina Panthers and the NFL.